95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge, presented by Professional Floor Covering.
Welcome to Community Comment here on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. And we are just about to get the action rolling here with Terry Bell. First, wanted to remind you that Community Comment is presented by Professional Floor Covering and Abbey Design Center at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. Visit their website, proflr.com. They're locally owned. Randy and his team are here to help you design the perfect space with over 1,000 samples of carpet, LVP, hardwood, tile, area rugs, and window finishings. It's so much more than floors. It's a wide selection of kitchen and bathroom countertops, cabinets, tile, shower inserts, and more. And today, over at Professional Floor Covering, we wanted to talk about the showers. Let their team help you design a shower you can unwind and relax in. From color and material choice to size and arrangement, there are a lot of design choices that need to be made before beginning the remodeling process. And now, without further ado, we will send it to the Daily Dodge TV studios and Terry Bell for Community Comment.
Thank you very much, Jake. We are pleased to welcome to the show this morning, Sarah Cournoyer and Jamie Kratz-Gullickson. They're with the Beaver Dam Community Library. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, not the least of which an update on the remodeling and things happening at the temporary location. But first, I'd like to invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question about those things or a comment, you can call us or text us at 920-887-8585, or you can call the studio line at 885-4446. And Sarah, Jamie, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
Of course. Well, it has been a few weeks now that the renovations have begun at the library, and you have set up shop at the temporary location on North Spring Street. Please let us know what's happening.
Sure. So construction started on the permanent library at 311 on September 2nd. So we had a 6 to 9 month expectation to have construction completed. And so now that we're almost in November, we're down to 4 to 7 months. So every day it gets a little shorter. And we answer that question a lot. How soon do you think you'll be back? And so we're pleased that construction is moving along on schedule. And they have completed demolition. I am there every 2 weeks, if not more, for progress meetings. And it's exciting. They've started framing the new rooms and just working on building systems. So, yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, explain to us how the experience at the renovated library will be different than the experience that people have been used to for so many years.
Sure. Well, we're just a little bit further north at 1701.
Right. Well,
Yep.
It's not going to be the same building? I was talking about when the renovations are done. I'm sorry.
When it's finished, that's
Yes.
okay. I got
You're just so excited about how great the temporary has been so far, and how much better the new one's going to be at our permanent location.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let's start with the
Sure.
permanent building, and then we'll talk
There
about
we
the
go.
temporary building for
Yeah,
after
I'm
that.
moving through time and space.
No,
managing
that's
to
okay.
points these
That's
days,
okay.
So that we're really seeing what they're framing up is the community room, the new entrance. So the parking lot is torn up there so that they can grade for that and pour the stoop, install the canopy under the mural. So that will remain. We're really proud of our mural, and it's a really unique one in the community, just like our building.
And that'll be our entrance, right? Right under the mural.
Right
there.
under the mural, right off the parking lot, short, quick, easy. So they're framing out the community room, which will be where programs like story time will take place, and it will also be available for community organizations to use for reserved meeting space. They are framing the new small study rooms. So we have 3 different smaller meeting rooms that will be available, and more for a study or a 2-person kind of tutoring or consults. And then there's a larger community, or larger meeting room space, new restroom in that new entries vestibule. And that's one that is part of the accessibility goal that we have for the new library, which will include that universal adjustable height changing table. And the reading room is getting framed up. They've been putting in some new floor outlets so that we can have comfy chairs, which is something people in the community have told us they're looking forward to. The samples for the fireplace wall, stone wall, have come in, and I've seen those. They look great, so I know people are looking forward to that. They are also framing out the sensory space or calm space or mother's room. It'll be kind of multi-purpose in the new children's area, which will be the same location, but it'll have a different configuration, emphasizing the early literacy play space, as well as that sensory room that'll be kind of a calm, quiet place for the people who need to step out for whatever reason and just kind of take a break before library activities.
And what I would have given for a space like that, my child's grown now. He's a full-grown adult, but we used to go to the library, story time, and he was a wild child. So what I would have given for that place to just be like, I'm going to step away from everybody for a minute, and we're going to relax and catch our breath and, then go back into it rather than, tearing circles around the whole library. So that's a great addition that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
You mentioned a time frame of 4 to 7 months. I guess, what would it take to have that window be shorter, and what might happen to make it a little longer? 3 months seems kind of a bit of leeway, which I understand you need, but that's still a lot of time. So what went into that estimate?
That is a good question. So the project schedule, the project manager for the construction company that was awarded the bid came up with that schedule. So things that could delay that, that shorter period, 4 months is the best time frame. Time, materials, it's a renovation of an existing building, so sometimes you don't know what will be discovered that may need to have a solution. There was a structural beam that was not on the original plans from 1984 that was found when they did demolition. So the solution for that was made quickly and timely, and so we are still on schedule. But, those kinds of things can introduce a couple days delay, and then if you have several of those, they can add up. We also we're already planning the move back, so we've got to schedule that in too. So we added that as a buffer to give the public a good expectation that is, realistic.
Certainly. So in the meantime, we have another 4 to 7 months to enjoy your new temporary space, several blocks north of the permanent library. Let us know about what's happening there and how that space has been, working for you so far.
Well, 1701 North Spring Street is the address for the temporary library. We're right kitty corner from the bowling alley and next door to Aldi and Noble Clinic, so it's really easy to find. Plenty of parking. People tell us they like that and walking right in. So that's there are some parallels between the positive response and the comments we're getting about what people like about the temporary space that relate directly back to the plans for what will be at our, newly renovated library. And 1701, we've had people, I think the biggest reaction we get is people when they're visiting for the first time, and we still have people that is when they walk through the doors, they just kind of look and they say, wow. And they either say it out loud or their face gets that look of like, oh, so we're really happy about that, because one of the reasons we moved was to provide a full service library with access to our collections, our programs, and not be in the midst of a construction zone.
Well, you were just mentioning to me when we got here that going through the things that were dusty from the construction site, like how aggravating that was, to your lungs, and how hard that is to sort of exist in that space. So I'm so glad that the library board and your staff recommended, that we make that transition to the new space, because not only are people enjoying it, I think they also aren't seeing what it might have been like. I grew up on construction sites. My dad is a construction worker and retired now, and so I grew up around that sort of chaos. And when I heard about the move, I'm like, everybody's got to get behind this move, and yeah, everybody's really enjoying that space now that I've seen.
So people who've been frequenting the temporary library, and you say it's been a pleasant surprise for many people. Does that give people a sense of what the new permanent space might be like in terms of maybe a roomier, more functional space to be in?
Absolutely. Yes, it does. And I think that what we're seeing is people will walk into the newly renovated library. They'll come through a vestibule. It's going to have glass. There'll be a bench there for the folks who are waiting for their ride to pull up, or be it who they came with, or public transit, the taxi service. And then we've got that unique slanted kind of big open space that goes up to the full row of clear story windows down the spine of the building. And that has always been kind of obscured by low hanging lights. And so the lighting is changing there in that central space, and there won't be a ceiling once you come through the vestibule. It'll be open up to that space. So we're going to have a lot of natural light and that sense of spaciousness that people are commenting on at the temporary space too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I noticed at the temporary space, I was there for a Board of Trustees meeting last week, is just how open the children's area is, and I think that'll be something that will also translate to the new building. Before it was only a certain amount of space you had in the children's area at our existing space, and now at the temporary, there was kids all sprawled out, and they were having a great time just having some indoor play space, that's free, that's functional, that's accessible, and they didn't even want to be interrupted. They were having so much fun. And so it was really great to see that. And I think that's something that will translate to our new building, right, Sarah?
That will. I mean, it's important to have the realistic expectations because it's the same footprint. The building itself is not expanding. So the children's area will be where it is. We're still going to have book stacks for the materials, but there will be an enhanced play space, but there will be that sensory room that we're excited about too, is also taking up some of that footprint. Now, the circulation area is shrinking and changing with our staff configuration, so there will be more openness and that spaciousness that people are looking for. And that's part of, the hopes for the second stage with the patio is to create some outdoor program space too. But that's for a later funded phase of construction in the project.
Very good. And we'll talk more about that after this quick break. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Thank you so much, Jake. We are talking about all the exciting things happen at the Beaver Dam Community Library. Everyone obviously is pretty familiar with the temporary move and the renovations happening at the permanent library. And if you have a question or a comment on that, we invite you to join the program. You can call us or text us at 920-887-8585, or you can call the studio line at 885-4446. Our guests this morning are Sarah Cournoyer, the Beaver Dam Community Library Administrator, and Jamie Kratz-Gullickson. She's a library board trustee and the chair of the current fundraising effort. You know, people think of the library, obviously they think of books, they think of, checking out other kinds of media as well, but you offer so much more than that, and you wanted to talk a little bit about that this morning.
I did. The library's brand is books, and we are solid on that, whether it's print or digital or audio, but we also have what we call the Beyond Books collection. Different libraries call it different things, Library of Things or Thingiverse. We liked Beyond Books because we know people know libraries as books. So some of the things that we have within that are our adventure passes. And it being football season, we're really happy to announce that we have 2 Packers Hall of Fame passes people can check out for 3 days. Go visit the Hall of Fame. And that's a really unique experience we can offer. The Fond du Lac Children's Museum pass is also one that people can check out, get there, and come back in a day. We have 3 of those. I got to double check my numbers because we had 2. Yes, we added a 3rd because they were so popular, and it's 1 per household. So if you want to go with your friend or, your sibling and their children, then you each check out a pass, and that'll get you in there. That one's been really popular. Let's see. Now that it's fall and the leaves are really going, I was out on a trip the other day, and that made me think of our Wisconsin State Park passes. And you can check one out. You don't have to return this one. It's a 1-day pass. You just need to know when you're going to go, and we can give you a 3-day window in case of bad weather. But this is a great time to get out and enjoy our natural resources, see what the fall leaves look like, even winter activities. So the passes are good year-round, but we have all of those different passes sponsored by a grant from the Nelson G. and Vera C. Hicks Foundation, and we're really grateful for the support they've provided to the
So
library.
that makes them free to the users then, because usually you would have to pay admission to the Packers Hall of Fame, for example.
Yes, absolutely. And some trips can add up. We've had a lot of adults have enjoyed the Wisconsin Historical Society pass that gets you into 12 different locations around the state. I just used our pass to the Domes in Milwaukee to meet up with my daughter who lives in Waukesha. And we went and toured the domes and saw the features there and the arid and temperate dome, and it was super fun. I hadn't been since, years ago. I know I went on a field trip in 4th grade and loved it, and then I was there again in my 20s, but it had been a while. So some of those places, you want to revisit, and it's a big savings. And it was nice. They told me we were in the bookstore, and I bought each of us a book. And the people working there said that like 30% of their memberships come from people who visit on a library pass.
Wow.
And so they were really grateful for that partnership opportunity. And that's kind of one of the ways that these passes benefit everybody, the user, the library, and then the place, the venue that they're visiting.
Absolutely. We want to talk more about the offerings that you have beyond books, but first we have to take this quick break for the news. We will be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
14.
TV studios with Terry Bell and more of today's community comment.
Thank you very much, Jake. We're talking about everything happening at the Beaver Dam Community Library with Administrator Sarah Cournoyer and also Jamie Kratz-Gullickson. She's a library board trustee. She's also chairing the current fundraising efforts. And thanks again for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Of
So
course. Yeah, so we were talking about a lot of things that you offer besides checking out books and other media. Pretty exciting that you offer passes to different attractions, not just in this area, but all around Wisconsin. And you can check these passes out for free and get into places where you normally have to, pay admission to get into. And as you were saying, this people have such a good time, they go ahead and get subscriptions and memberships after they've had their free sample, so to speak.
Right, that's
Yeah.
a good way to put it, Terry.
Tell me some other, you're also offering some other programs and offerings that I think people will find very appealing.
Absolutely. Even though we are in a temporary space, we're still offering a full service library. We are still launching new and innovative partnerships. One of which just launched yesterday with the, it's called the Career Navigator Program. And so we have Melanie Schneider, who is with the Department of Workforce Development, coming to the library to do drop-in office hours to help job seekers from 1 to 3. She is there. Let's see. I've got dates on a calendar here. Lots going on. So next time she'll be back will be November 6th, which is a Thursday from 1 to 3. And then she'll also be there November 13th from 1 to 3. So she can connect people with job searches, training programs and apprenticeships, connect them with other services that they might need related to that regarding transportation or childcare. And so some of that is really necessary. The library is doing its part of the partnership by helping to provide a space for Melanie, who works out in the communities covering 6 counties. So she will be kind of her office in the library will be at the front for right now, and then in the future those meeting rooms we talked about in the new library would be a place that people could also meet one-on-one with her to work on any upskilling or reskilling. We also offer a lot of programs like that too. So there are the universal classes that people can connect with for continuing education. And we have, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for things to connect with, we offer A to Z databases that allows people to pull contact lists and do some market research. And Anita Strike, our Community and Information Services librarian, is the perfect contact for that. But all of our librarians can help, but she is the key contact.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it just goes to show what a resource a library is to a community, not just the traditional things that come to mind when people first think of a library. There's so much more. You can go to the library to look for a job. That I think people would find that very attractive.
Yeah, it's something that we're also looking forward to. So this is kind of the first step in offering it. It's one division of workforce development. Melanie is with the Division of Employment and Training, but we're also working with the workforce development boards. When we reopen in the new facility, we'll have what's called a job pod, and our staff will be getting trained, but it's a partnership between public libraries, library systems, and the Office of Workforce Development to basically create a job center connection within the library. So we'll provide resources for people to connect one-on-one. Currently, what the library does is support people in using our public internet or the Wi-Fi for their own services to connect with workforce development.
But this goes above and beyond that. I mean, people, I think, are perfectly well aware they can go to the library to use a computer if they don't have internet access. But this is goes beyond just merely that.
Right. It's a one-on-one connection with a real live human being who can help with what people need or help find the resources that they need. And, the library supports that as well. And so we've got things we can offer. We've got different books on exams and kind of those book resources as well as online resources. But that's the kind of key component, is you're pointing out, that we did not have, because we are not workforce developers. We support that. We want to support everybody in their lifelong learning, but we can also be that safe space, public space, and offer this as a community service in partnership and really leverage those resources. So yeah, Melanie is great. If you follow the library on Facebook, there is a picture of her and Anita, so you can go see, who that human being you might be in contact with is. And then later, when we have Job Pod launched, once we're back in our permanent building after the renovation, that will also offer a remote connection to a one-on-one specialist at workforce development to help people get the resources that they need.
Are there any other programs coming up in the near future that are unique to this time of year?
Sure. November has quite a few things. I'm going to hit on a couple quickly, and then Jamie had one she wanted to talk about. So coming up Saturday, October 1st, November is also called Dinovember. And we know we have a lot of people in the community that like dinosaurs, because this will be our third year doing it. So we will have a dinosaur story time and parade at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday the 1st. Everybody is invited to wear their dinosaur-themed clothing or costumes. Miss Sam and I each have onesies that we'll be wearing. So I'm the Triceratops, and I really like that. It's super fun. I've always been fascinated by dinosaurs, and my public libraries have supported my interest in that all lifelong, as well as sharks. But we're not talking about that. That happens in another
Shark
time of
Week
year.
is later.
That's right. But also, when we're talking about services to the community, we have our annual Crochet and Knit-a-thon, and I believe this is our 22nd annual Crochet and Knit-a-thon coming up that same day, Saturday, November 1st. That's from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And what that brings together are a lot of crafters in our community who've been working all year making warm things to warm the community. We've had anywhere between 450 to 600 items, hats, mittens, blankets that get distributed through various community agencies to people and children that need them. So.
And when you talk about community partnerships, Sarah, many, many moons ago, I was with PAVE, and I can remember picking up boxes from the library or having you guys drop off boxes of these things and literally putting those mittens on little kids as they were leaving for school for the bus. So I know, even that long ago, and something that's continuing till today is making such a huge impact on our community. And those are the types of partnerships that the library has just been stellar at over all. We've lived in this, my husband and I and son have lived in this community for over 20 years, and the library has really been a connection point for getting all of these pieces to fit together. You guys are sort of a hub for making everything fit.
And that definitely is a role that we see for the library as being a community hub. And so you're saying something about being grateful, and I think that's a good segue into what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so as part of the board and part of the fundraising efforts that we're doing, I think we also have to think about not just the dollars that we bring in, but the feelings and the stories that we bring in related to our library. And so this November, what we'd like to do is we'll have some materials available and be able to say what you're grateful for at the library, because there's so many different things that I think we don't think about. You think, I'm grateful for books, or I'm grateful for reading the newspaper there, or I'm grateful for internet access there. But my goodness, like how many things can you be? I'm grateful that the library provided mittens so that I could make sure kids went out with warm hands. I mean, there's so many stories like that I think we don't hear and we don't necessarily share. We just, hold them in ourselves. And I want to make sure that we share those across the community, because what a beautiful partnership hub it's been. And so we want to make sure that what we're grateful for at our library gets shared in our community.
And I'm grateful we have a few more minutes with Sarah Cournoyer and Jamie Kratz-Gullickson. We are going to take one last break, but we're coming right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Comment. Here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake. We're talking with Sarah Cournoyer and Jamie Kratz-Gullickson about all the things happening at the Beaver Dam Community Library. A lot of interest in the library, especially with the permanent location getting a big renovation, and the current temporary location several blocks north on North Spring Street. If you have a question or a comment, anything you're curious about or would like to say, we invite you to join the conversation at 920-887-8585. You can also call the studio line at 885-4446. And Jamie, it's so good to have you here today, not the least of which because you are the chair of the library's fundraising efforts, and I was hoping you could talk to us this morning a bit about what's going on to help keep the library, a robust and vibrant resource for the community.
Sure. So I came on to the Board of Trustees in early spring and sort of spent the summer learning and just sort of trying to gather everything that's happening because, like Sarah's been saying for this whole segment, there's just so much going on at our library. And so wrapping my head around everything and trying to figure out where my skill set might lie to be able to help the library and the community the best. And really it was in being part of the fundraising efforts because the next chapter renovation was sort of set up in a way that it was segmented so that we could just do what we could fund, right? We didn't want to overtax the community. We didn't want to overstretch the community. We want to say, here are our plans and our goals. Here's what we really want to do. Now let's see what we can get funded. And we did get a really significant portion funded. I think, Sarah, the last number you gave me, correct me if I'm wrong, but was $762,000 of support from our community. Is that?
That is correct.
Yeah, which is
astounding.
Yes, just blew my mind when I heard it. I'm like, okay, I want to be on board with this. This is a really positive thing. And so that funded, if you've ever seen the brochure, several segments, like the welcoming center Sarah was talking about, and the meeting rooms and some of the restrooms and things like that. But there are a couple of things that are sort of beyond what we have raised so far, which would be further renovations in our lower level, which would include some things that would help programming, like I think a kitchenette. Correct.
The kitchenette space and making that a larger, lower level community room.
Mm-hmm. And then also our outdoor patio. And so those were sort of the things that we really wanted to do, but are just a little bit of a stretch beyond what we've raised so far. And so we're really excited. Sarah and I are uploading the grant on Monday. We've applied for a $1.2 million DOA grant that would push us over the line and be wonderful, but I've spoken to some of the folks at the DOA, and it is an incredibly competitive grant. There's a lot of places looking for funding. Construction costs have risen. That happened with our project too. Construction costs were higher than we thought they might be. And so we continue to fundraise, we continue to reach out to the community and ask for support. And so I just want to make sure that, we continue to talk about the ways that our library does things for all of us in a whole bunch of different ways, and whatever we can do, whether it's, the person that wants to sponsor the rest of the lower level, you say, I want that community room, here's a check for $300,000. Yeah, I'm happy to shake your hand and take a picture with that check. Or if you put $1 in the bin at the front of the temporary location, there's just a little container there by the welcome desk. You drop $1 in there, that makes a difference too. I've always been a huge proponent of no amount is insignificant because it's how we all come together as a community to support these projects. And when you have more, you give more. And when you need those resources, you use those resources. That's how we take care of each other as a community. And I think that's more important now than it's ever been. And I really see it happening in this project.
It has, and actually, even though our fundraising kind of concluded as to determining the scope last October, then we have just had another over $12,000 in donations come in since this September. And so it's a really good time to also kind of continue the word that we are still seeking funding for those future phases of the library, especially as we're seeking this grant, and they are still within the scope of construction, that we could expand the project.
Right.
But they were also, the way that the board and I approached this with the architect was to plan that we could scale it so that we could complete the project in phases if needed. So the first floor renovation is fully funded privately by the earnings from the library board's endowment fund, as well as those generous contributions ranging from $1 to $25,000 to also those $200,000, $250,000, and $125,000 grants or gifts that we've received.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been quite busy. I know we're in the budget time, the budget cycle for the city. I imagine you get some funding too as well from the city. I'm guessing no surprises coming up when the budget is enacted in November?
They aren't. The city funds our operations and the maintenance of the facility. The contribution to this project that we are so grateful for was the new roof and replacement of the clear story windows, which was really the city's $1.2 million contribution to sustaining their library and providing us the opportunity to develop the inside, because you really can't do that when your roof is still leaking. So it's been dry. We love it. No ice damming over last winter, which was a serious concern for, especially there are some pictures from 2009, I believe it was, where it was just, we had to close off the receiving entrance. So the city funded that, and then we have just really been fortunate to have had good stewards on the library board of that endowment fund, and the generosity legacy gifts of some of our community members to that as well. And those earnings help us fund these types of projects, and it's been a long time coming.
Sarah Cournoyer is the administrator of the Beaver Dam Community Library. Jamie Kratz-Gullickson is a trustee on the library board. Boy, the time flew right by. It's been an hour well spent. Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, Terry.
And thank you for listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Joining